Hi, my name is Catherine Kehner. I'm a rising senior at St. Mary's College, majoring in sociology and gender and women's studies. This summer, I participated in the Computational Social Science REU at Notre Dame, working with my advisor, Dr. Susan Alexander, studying video games as a potential site of escape for men facing a crisis of masculinity. In Manhood in America, Kimmel outlines the history of hegemonic masculinity in the U.S., which is deeply rooted in the ideal of the self-made man. In this model of masculinity is entirely derived from the public sphere and constantly needs to be demonstrated in the eyes of other men. Economic and social changes have led to recurring crises of masculinity throughout American history, which have continually encouraged men to find alternative outlets to prove their masculinity. One way in which men coped with these crises has been through escape. Literally, such as the escape to the frontier, or figuratively, in homosocial spheres such as fraternal orders, sports, and the sexual fantasies within the pages of Playboy magazine. According to Kimmel, men in crisis use symbols within these escapist products to return to past privileges and relieve anxiety related to a crisis of masculinity. Despite the essay's claims of near gender parity in gaming, research suggests that the gamers which drive gaming culture are mostly male, making video games a homosocial sphere which could provide the opportunity of escape. Overall, this suggests that video games could be a homosocial sphere for men to manufacture masculinity and a crisis of masculinity, when traditional hegemonic forms are unavailable. To see if American men are being drawn to certain genres due to a crisis of masculinity, I compare sales information scraped from VG Charts, a website that publishes weekly video game sales of 16,598 video games published between 1973 and 2018. First, I look to see if North America, with self-made man model of masculinity, has higher sales of genres associated with masculinity than regions with softer models, such as Japan. Next, I must see if men are being drawn to these genres because of the symbols of the past described by Kimmel. To do so, I use a content analysis of 25 official websites and sales websites of the top 5 genres, coding for themes from escapist products men turned to in the past, such as the escape to the frontier, the escape to homosocial spheres, such as fraternal orders, escape to sports, and escape to sexual fantasy. I found that there is a statistically significant difference in the average sales between genres in North America and Japan. In North America, more of the highest selling genres are those that previous research has associated with masculinity, while in Japan, more of the highest selling genres are casual games, and genres associated with higher levels of gender parity. Further, I found that the highest selling games within these genres exhibit themes that men in the past have been drawn to during crisis of masculinity, as outlined by Kimmel. All of the games exhibited at least 4 of the 13 possible themes, with an average of over 7 themes per game. Shooter games, the second most popular genre, had the highest average of 9.6 themes per game, followed closely by sports with 8 and action with 7.6. The most frequent characteristics referenced in the game's websites were skillful violence, which was exhibited by all the games coded, competition, consumption, symbolic social mobility, making heroes of young men, and fellowship. Returning to sports was the most common category of characteristics recalled in the game, including themes of skillful violence, competition, making heroes of young men, and physical muscularity. These themes were most common in shooter and sports games. As well, escape to homosocial spheres was frequently recalled, including themes of symbolic social mobility, fellowship, playing masculine archetypes. These themes as well were most common in shooter and sports games. In conclusion, North America does have higher sales of genres associated with masculinity and exclusion rather than regions without a Western model of masculinity. This suggests that differences in masculinity could be the reason Western men are being drawn to these games. As well, the highest selling games within these genres exhibit themes that men in the past have been drawn to in crisis of masculinity. Specifically, contemporary men are drawn towards games that parallel men's historical escape to sports and escape to homosocial spheres. This suggests that certain genres of video games appeal to men's need to prove themselves among other men, let off aggression in socially acceptable ways, and find comfort among other men in a crisis of masculinity. This work supports a contemporary crisis of masculinity in America, in which contemporary men continue to retreat to the symbols of the past to uphold a self-made masculinity, rather than questioning the hegemony. Much like the men of the past described by Kimmel, contemporary men are using video games as a homosocial escapist cultural product which they can use to retreat to the past in the face of crisis of masculinity due to the recent economic and social transformations.